Well, it's time for my weekly video, and I spent all morning fixing my router. Well, I was going to check my email, which I do every morning first thing, and it said no internet, check your router. So I thought usually when I get that message on my screen, it means that my internet is out. So I went for my morning walk, and then when I came back, I called Spectrum and they said everything was fine on the internet. So I checked all the connections and I figured out that I was able to get internet, that the router was having problems. And I remember this has happened to me before when I put the router on, like when I move it, usually I keep it on top of the printer where it's on top of the printer and its little antennas can pick up the signals easily. But sometimes when I'm cleaning and stuff, I'll move it around to get it out of the way, or if I have to move the printer, and I'll forget to put the router back on top of the printer and I'll end up putting it on top of the hot modem. And I think it causes the router to overheat and it causes connection problems so that I have to reset it and reinstall it, which is what I did, and then I got it to work. It took me a while to figure out how to do it. I don't pay extra for router with Spectrum. I get free router. I do it myself. Back in 2012, um, I had more than one computer. I had a laptop and I had a desktop, and I wanted to be able to use both of them, so I bought a router that would allow me to connect both of the computers to the same internet connection. And then my laptop died on me and I only ended up with one computer, so I put the router away and I forgot all about it. And then I ordered no, one of my supporters, one of my Patreon supporters bought me an Amazon Kindle. And I found that to use the Amazon Kindle, I needed to have a router, to be able to use it to its full potential, to be able to download books and stuff. And so I called up Spectrum and they told me incorrectly that it would cost me about $5 more a month to have router. So I had them come out. No, no. So I told them over the phone. Yeah, I think I had them. I can't remember what happened. That was several years ago. To make a long story short, it ended up costing $15 a month. And I think I did have them come out and I think they said the router was part of the modem or something. I can't remember, but they charged me, they said it would cost me $15 more a month. I thought, with my tight budget, no way. I didn't really need to have the Amazon Kindle. And there are ways you can upload books to an Amazon Kindle, even if you don't have a router. You have to do it differently. But it's easier if you have a router. So I thought, you know what? I just thought of something. I bought a D-Link router, and even though it was a cheapie, I only paid about $40 for it. I bought it at Office Depot. I was able to set it up and get it so that I gave myself free router. So now I could, when I go to my Amazon Kindle, like if I want to download a book, it's kind of complicated. In fact, I think I even made a YouTube video about it. But so I got it set up using a D-Link router. It's been working great. The only thing is I have to remember not to put the router on top of the modem because then it overheats and then it gets all messed up. So that's that's so. Anyways, I'm back in business. My internet's working, and I got the router to work. So when I get on my Kindle, this it. Here's how you can tell when your router's working. See, because you see all that in the background. See, when you're on Kindle, when your router, you're actually kind of connected to the internet in a way. It doesn't show up very good here. Oh, well, I can see it, but you guys can't see it. Yeah, it doesn't show. But basically, you don't get a very good internet connection on a Kindle, but it's nice to have, you know, if you have a Kindle, it's nice to be able to um, download books easily and stuff. So, anyways, I'm all set. If worse comes to worse and that router conks out on me because I'm only allowed to spend money on food and bills, I'll just be without a router and I'll have to use the Kindle without a router. But so far, so good. Yeah, you might say, you mean Jesus wouldn't want you to buy a router? Well, I already bought one in 2012. And I think this was before he gave me the rule about food and bills. I can't remember. But anyways, I already bought one. And so why not? It was free. I just had to have the brains to figure out how to set it up. It's kind of complicated, but I did it. So I'm not paying any extra for router. My internet costs me about $50 a month. But I know the Lord wants me to have that because I couldn't. It's a Gail commandment to. This is how you can tell if it's okay to spend money. If you got to spend money in order to do a Gail commandment, then you know that's okay with Jesus. I obviously can't make a YouTube video every week to share the victories, defeats, and daily struggles and joys of my life with my followers if I don't have an internet connection. I get free cable television with my apartment. But I'm going to be moving, and I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Uh, you know, as far as I don't know. I know I'm going to be moving. The reason I know I'm going to be moving is because Jesus told me. He said, I want you to do a month-to-month lease with your apartment complex. And Jesus wouldn't tell me that unless I'm going to be moving. So I know I'm going to be moving, and that started in June. So I'm doing month to month, and it's a little bit more expensive, but the stimulus payment that everybody got in what was it, April, or was it May? I think it was the end of April for me. Yeah, end of April. That really helped. That really helped. So, but I'm about to run out, but I do have some money in savings. So we'll see how the Lord works this out. So I've been doing month to month starting in June, July, August. And Jesus wouldn't say that unless I'm going to be moving. I'll just say this much. I've been reading my Bible every day and praying to make sure that I make all the right decisions because moving is a major, you know, it's a major thing. And I want to make sure that and you're going to have to spend money when you move. So I want to make sure that I stay in tune with Jesus. And that's really important. Like when you're at a major transition point in your life, to stay in tune with Jesus so that you spend your money wisely and you make wise decisions. Let me tell you how important it is. Back in December 99, when Jesus told me in a still small voice, he said, um, your enemy is the Roman Catholic Church. And that's when I figured out Lori McBride was a Vatican agent. And then I forgave Brent Spiner and fully reinstated him as my long distance lover in December 1999. But that same month, I went to a doctor for my annual breast exam, or mammogram. And he came into the office really spooky looking. And he said to me, you have calcium deposits in your breast, which could be indicative of breast cancer. Let me tell you, I had been through a lot at this point. I'd already been to a naturopathic physician who deliberately misaligned my neck and caused me to lose sleep and have all sorts of problems so that I had to charge a whole bunch on my credit cards to get the neck fixed because of the damage she did. You might say, why did she do that? Well, at that time, I had just gotten off of my psychiatric meds and the Jesuits didn't like that. And I was doing fine, better off of them. And that's because the psychiatric meds they had me on at that time were not good for me. They were not Jesus's Seroquel. So I think I did the right thing at that time, getting off the psych meds, but I should have gone to God in prayer and asked his advice about whether I should have gone to that naturopathic physician. See, this is why it's so important to stay in tune with Jesus. If I'd gone to God in prayer and asked for guidance as to whether it was his will for me to go to that naturopath, Jesus probably would have told me, no, don't go. Because he would have known in advance that she would have deliberately misaligned my neck. Apparently, the Jesuits paid her money to do that. And I could have saved myself a lot of money and pain and medical pain and all out and sleep loss that I got from that. I spent about $1,000 getting the neck fixed after that naturopath deliberately misaligned my neck. If I'd gone to God in prayer and asked for wisdom, I could have saved myself medical costs as well as the suffering I went through because of what she did to me. And then when I went to a chiropractor to try to fix what she did, he ended up becoming a Jesuit. And he made it worse too. It took me, finally, I found a good physical therapist that was covered by my insurance. See, I was not using my insurance to see the naturopath because at that time I was a military spouse and military didn't cover, they didn't cover naturopathic medicine. So I should have known better. And I was doing other things wrong. And now let me tell you one thing that I did wrong, which some of you may not agree with, but let me just tell you what happened to me. And I'm going to bring this up because I think a lot of people are in the same boat that I was in back then. I knew that it was God's will for me to divorce my husband because God knew he was a pedophile, even if I didn't. And he did tell me, he did say that if you don't divorce your husband, you will be dead within a couple years. When I went to him in prayer, he told me that. And not with an audible voice, but when you do your daily Bible reading and prayer time with the Lord and you ask for guidance, sometimes certain passages that you're reading will stand out. And he'll say, hey, I'm speaking to you, Gail. I'm speaking to you through the Bible. I'm trying to tell you something. And he seemed to tell me, now is the time to leave your marriage. So, and I knew that Brent was a part of his plan for my life because he told me back in 1992 when I went to the funeral of a little girl through messages at church and signs that Brent was part of his plan for my life, that he was my soulmate. So I've known that for a long time, even before Brent and I started communicating online in 2011 and forward. So Jesus will speak to us if we will listen. So I went to this doctor. He looked really spooky, and he said, I want you within 24 hours to go under general anesthesia so that we can do a biopsy. And I thought, 24 hours? Why does it have to be general anesthesia? I said, I need to think about this. So I went home and I prayed and I read the Bible, and Jesus seemed to tell me, don't worry about your breasts. That is a Jesuit doctor, and I don't want you to worry about biopsy or any of that stuff. I remember him telling me that. But then I violated the verse in Proverbs that says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. I started leaning on my own understanding. And I told my mother what the doctor said. I even told Brent over the phone because he had a wiretap on my phone. And they all seemed to want me to go get the biopsy just to be safe. So I disobeyed the Lord and decided to get the biopsy. But I said, I'm not going to go under general anesthesia. I said, I will only do it local. And he said, well, that's the way we do it. I said, that's okay. I said, I want to get a second opinion. So I got a second opinion with another doctor, and they apparently saw the same calcium deposits and decided that I should get the biopsy just to be safe. So in February of 2000, I got a biopsy, but let me tell you something. Those Jesuits They were contaminating my over-the-counter medications. I was taking a whole bunch of them to try to deal with my allergies and everything. And I think they contaminated them with blood thinners. Can you hear that in the background? I mean, I don't know if that's brain control or not. The air conditioner just went on, and I don't know if when I listen to this, I don't know if the AC is just louder. This is there's two air conditioning units attached to my wall, and one, oh, I hate her brain bombs. I gotta get water. Oh, she's terrible. She makes me cough all the time. She drops these bombs. Oh, her bombs are terrible. She's terrible. Anyways, there's the AC. I don't know if you can hear it. That's the neighbor's AC. It's attached to the same wall for my AC. My AC doesn't do that, but my neighbor's AC, when it goes on, it causes the wall to vibrate. But anyways, I went to this, I got this biopsy done, and oh, that's her bombs. And they contaminated something that I was taking with blood thinners, because the doctor said, I can't stop the bleeding. Are you on blood thinners? Yeah, and I said, not that I know of. And I lost so much blood from that biopsy that I became severely anemic. It took her about a half an hour to stop the blood. She said, I can't get your blood to clot. It's like she went in there to do the biopsy, and I lost so much blood. I managed to drive home, but when I got home, I had a horrible headache. When you have too much blood loss, that'll happen to you. You'll get a really bad headache. I was bedridden for 3 weeks with severe anemia because of doing that biopsy. Jesus did not want me to do the biopsy. He told me, you don't have breast cancer. I remember. You might say, are you saying, this is for everybody individually. All I'm saying is one of the favorite Jesuit tactics to get you to do what they want is intimidation and fear. If they can get you scared, they're doing that now with this COVID stuff. If they can get you scared, they can get you to do what they want. They manipulate you using your fears. And don't forget that Laurie McBride has brain control, and she can read people's minds. And she uses her brain control's been horrible. Do you see this here? There's see that? That was her brain control. That's a bruise. She uses brain control to get me to lose my balance, and I fall. Yeah, it's brain control. And sometimes when I eat, I've noticed I have when I drink, especially the water, it goes to the back of my throat. It's like some fingers flicking it. And it's all brain control. So I have a tendency to bite my tongue or my gums when I eat sometimes. That nerve problem that I had with the lingual nerve, that's gotten better. But every now and then that happens. It's these germs. Oh, she's terrible. She was behind Hurricane Laura. Notice how Laura almost sounds like Lori. Oh, Jesus, I hate her. She's so evil. I'm willing to forgive her and her Jesuits. If they'll get right, she would never forgive anyone. She's full of jealousy and pettiness. All she does is kill people. She's so competitive, so jealous, so controlling. And what's really sad is I hear that my sister Sandra Metcalf, Brent and I were communicating on Skype about a week ago, And I asked Brent, what is my sister doing right now? Because my men are fighting my sister Sandra Metcalf and my mother in court. And Brent said, oh, she's imagining that she's making love to Lori McBride. I thought, how often does she do this? He said 3 or 4 times a day at least. I thought, wow, my sister's gone full-blown lesbian. Um, I'm so ashamed of her. That is so wrong, Sandra. You shouldn't be doing this. You and she I said, what are you fighting? What are you trying to get from her? And he said, we're trying to get her to admit that she falsely imprisoned you in 2012. Because basically what she did was she wrote a statement claiming that I was running out onto the street and expecting Vladimir Putin to rescue me from a space pod. And I was running out of the street trying to get away from police who were coming to arrest me because I was crazy. She made the whole thing up. But she wrote that down in a statement, which she extorted my mother into signing. Basically, she told my mother, if you don't sign this, you're not a good mother. That Gail needs to be locked up and put into a psych ward. So she wrote a lying statement about me, and she, those bombs. And she got a judge to believe her. My mother submitted that to a judge, and the judge apparently didn't do his homework, and he believed that that was the truth. And it lied and said that, that I was a victim of sexual trolls online, and it was full of lies. It took some things that were true, twisted them, made them into lies, and then she used that to oh shoot, I'm going to see if I can fix this. The lighting is just terrible. Oh, this isn't working. Oh, come on, Lord. It's not working. Oh boy, I should go back to the way I had it, huh, Jesus? Oh, anyway, so she's lied, and but the problem is she won't stop. She won't stop with this. She's a controlling person, and she's BFF with Lori McBride. So, that's not good. BFF with Lori McBride. I'm trying to fix this. Yeah, that's better. So evil. You might say, how could she be so different from you? Empathy has never been a strong suit with her. And Brent says she has psychopathic tendencies, so maybe she was born that way. When you look back at my ancestry, I'm half King David, half Catherine the Great. The Catherine the Great side on my mother's side comes from the Oshu Fujiwara family. And in the Oshu Fujiwara family, there was some bad blood. There was one instance, this is almost like history repeating itself, where my ancestor Kiyohira Fujiwara, he had a brother named Iyahira. Iyahira was a half-brother, and he was jealous of Kiyohira. He was angry because Kiyohira got in the good graces of the person who was in charge of northern Japan at that time, and that person decided to give him better land than Iyahira got. So Iyahira was furious, and he actually became deadly and treacherous. He ended up murdering Kiyohira's wife and children. You say, why did he do that? It was a way, actually, I'll have a link to the history of my ancestors. It's underneath, I'll have it underneath this video. It's the Oshu Fujiwara family. I think my sister may have gotten Iyahira's bloodlines in her. You might say, is he like an ancestor? Well, sort of. Um, I'm descended from the Oshu Fujiwara family. He was he was a very small, petty person and very much interested in power, prestige, and wealth. And yeah, like I said, he ended up. You say, why did he kill Kiyohira's wife and children? He killed them because he was trying to trap Kiyohira into coming out to rescue them. And he had things set up that if Kiyohira tried to come out and rescue them, Kiyohira would have died for sure because he would have been surrounded, outnumbered. He wanted to kill Kiyohira so that he could rule northern Japan. And he accused Kiyohira. He lied about him and said, "You tricked me. I deserve to rule northern Japan, and you tricked me, and you got in the good graces of the ruler who was a, oh boy, it's been a, she's using brain control on you. You got to watch the story. The long story short is my sister reminds me of Iyahira. You know, so you might say, how could you be so different? I think the King David genes in me are so strong that I could not become evil like my sister. My sister is like Iyahira. My mother is a narcissist. When I was growing up, she emotionally abused me. And my sister takes after my mother, even worse than my mother. And we're getting a lot of crazy commentators underneath my videos too. They're lying about me. They're being paid by my sister and Lori McBride to be these trolls and to lie about me and say things about me that are not true. And they're just like Iyahira. I'll have a link to that page where you can watch the story of my ancestors on my mother's side, where I get my Catherine the Great genes. But the King David in me is very strong. King David was a very forgiving and big person. And that's why I forgave the Brent Spiner clone, though I'm certain Lori McBride has already replaced him with another Brent Spiner clone. So Brent Spiner still does not have control over his own Twitter. But to make a long story short, even if your own family goes against you, do right though the stars fall. And you need to listen to Jesus, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. So you might say, are you saying people shouldn't get breast exams? No. But it doesn't hurt to go to God in prayer and ask for guidance. And when he tells you to do something, you need to trust him. Like I said, I could have. So what happened with the breast cancer business was I didn't have breast cancer. Obviously, because I'm still here. They did the biopsy and they determined that I did not have any danger of breast cancer. But they talked me into doing another biopsy about 10 months later. I wasn't listening to Jesus. And I did it again. I almost fainted for that one. I could, because I was so scared of the anesthesia that they put on me. I thought it would make me sick. I almost fainted. I could have spared myself all of that. And then they did it again and I didn't have breast cancer. Everybody's situation's different. But the point is, sometimes Jesus will lead you to do stuff that goes against the popular or the established way of doing things. Like telling me right now not to go to the dentist. I bet if I went to the dentist, they would do something to me like what those doctors did to me with the breast biopsies. I didn't need them. I ended up getting really sick because of one of the biopsies. I was in bed for a month because I lost so much blood. Jesus knows everything. I'm not saying don't get breast biopsies, but if you go to God in prayer and he tells you not to do it, you'd be smarter to listen to Jesus than the doctors. You would say, how do I know it's Jesus? Well, Jesus has a way of communicating. Um, by the way, I haven't been to a dentist because Jesus said, don't go to the dentist right now, Gail. He said the Jesuits have the dental profession. I haven't been to a dentist since 2013. My teeth are fine. I'm very diligent at flossing. I use a plaque rinse, and I also clean my own teeth using my own scalers and stuff when I need to. I'm doing fine. So you might say, well, why are you telling us this stuff? I'm just telling you that you better do what Jesus says. You say, well, what if it's not clear or I'm confused? Well, then do what everybody else is doing. But right now, he wants us all to do the Gail commandments. So I'm getting ready for a major move, and I know that I know that because why else would Jesus tell me to do month to month? So I told the guys I think I should hire movers because of Lori's brain control. Because of her brain control, she's the reason I have to clear my throat all the time. She's dropping these bombs over my head. Because of her brain control, I probably would injure myself trying to take all this stuff down the stairs. So unless what I'm going to do is when I find out where I'm moving to, which I believe is going to be within Brevard County, I'm going to tell my men that I'm planning on hire so and so movers, and if I don't hear back from you, like within a couple days, then I'm just going to go ahead and set up the movers. It's a little bit expensive, but I think I'll be allowed to do that because Jesus obviously wants me to move. And I think he understands that some of this stuff's really heavy and I can't bring it down 3 flights of stairs by myself. So, yeah, I think that'll be okay. But I'm going to check with my men. Even for that, I'm going to check with my men first. But I'm not going to do anything like buy a bunch of boxes or anything right now because if I'm going to hire movers, I don't need to buy boxes because they're going to use their boxes. Yeah, you can box yourself, but I think I want to have like a 2 week window between the time when I leave here and I go to my new place so I don't end up spending rent for two places at the same time. You know, a 2 week window would give me enough time to move, you know, stop my utilities here, start them in the new place and get everything set up. More than that, I'm going to lose a lot of money by paying rent for two places like for a whole month. So I'm going to give myself like a 2 week window if I can. So that's what my plans are. But I'm praying a lot, asking Jesus to give me wisdom. And when I go to God in prayer, Jesus seems to say, don't worry about spending a little extra to pay the movers to do everything. He said, I agree with you. He seems to be telling me, I'm not hearing a voice, but with the Bible verses and in prayer, he seems to be telling me, I do I think it's wise to just go ahead and hire movers because you're not as young as you were when you moved here in 2004, and I've actually acquired a lot of junk, and I've got some stuff that's kind of heavy. So I think Jesus wouldn't mind me buying hiring movers. So you might say, what'd you make this video for? Just to show you that you need to listen to Jesus. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. If you don't, you get in trouble. That Hurricane Laura, by the way, would have been, according to Brent, that one and the one that came with it, those two hurricanes, would have been one gigantic hurricane. It would have been the worst hurricane in human history, and it was headed straight for Melbourne, Florida. But because I was faithful in doing the Gail commandments, it split into two, and it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And that's why I didn't go to Florida. Anyways, I have to do this video, and Lori's causing computer problems. I'm not even sure this video is going to be okay. So I'm going to go now. But basically, I do believe I'm going to be moving, and I'm going to take it one day at a time, but I'm also going to be trusting Jesus and going and praying for guidance that I make the right decisions, because you got to make a lot of decisions when you move, and I want to make sure I make the right ones.